Hey there, my name is Brandon Howe, and welcome back to my Making a Game series. In the last episode, we made a shield power-up for our player that can be spawned randomly from defeating a certain amount of enemies. Oh, well, there was luck there. Or, actually, no, I think I changed the values of this over here. Yeah, to like 1 and 2. Alright, well, initially they were set to like 3 and 8. I set them down temporarily when I was testing stuff, but yeah, so boom. We have a shield power up, then we touch it, and bam, we get a shield. So we can take an extra hit before we die. And then we have how it gets spawned being every time we defeat a set number of enemies, that's kind of semi-randomized. I'm just going to set those back to those values. Alright, cool. In this episode, we're going to be making another type of power-up, a gun power-up that'll allow the player to shoot 2 guns. Now, first thing I want to do, I want to slightly edit the player's model just a tad to prepare for this. So finding it over here, I'm going to open that up in Blender, and we're going to need to slightly change this for when we have, actually I'll put this like there so it's about straight. We're going to want to slightly change this so that we have slots for shooting 2 guns as well. Now, actually what I think I might do, I was thinking of just making 2 more of these on the side, but I'm actually going to get rid of this one entirely, deleting the faces there, and then sort of make that, if I just grab all 4 of these vertices and scale them without proportional editing to 0, and then move that out, then it's kind of the same there, then go remove doubles, and kind of round that out a tad bit. I think I'm going to take this entire edge, other than the edge pieces, and then sort of, if I bevel this out, and then make, whoa, not like that, then make another cut in here, if it'll let me, yep, and then drag that in, doing that instead sort of makes there just be this sort of cut here that we can just have shots come out, and then there's no, it should look fine, especially from a top-down view anyway. Now, actually, I will, from a top-down view, make sure this is rounded like we want it to be. Cool. All right, that fixes that, and then also compensate that. Actually, pulling that out. Bam. All right, so that fixes that. Easy enough. Back to Unity. So now we're going to want to then set up the player to be able to spawn 2 shots at once. So we're going to go to our player, and how I think we are going to do this is we'll have a Boolean set up in our player shoot script that'll be set to true or false, and when it's false, so by default it'll spawn shots how it normally has at our shot spawn here. And then when it's true, we're going to set 2 more shot spawns. Basically, if it's false, it'll spawn 1 shot here. If it's true, it'll spawn 2 shots at these 2 shot spawns. So I'm going to call this double shot spawn. And then I'll rename this to single shot spawn. And then, actually, I'll delete this, duplicate that one. So now here, this is going to be basically the same, but moved over a bit. And this one will be moved over a bit the other way. Now, hopefully that'll be good. We might want to move them closer together. We'll see in a minute. I guess I could potentially set it to 3 if I wanted to, just so there is another shot going up the middle. Actually, that is what I might do. I could set it to 3, 1 going forward, 1 going out that way, 1 going out that way. But then you are covering a large area. Oh well, I think that's fine. So actually, then true or false will be false, it uses this, true, it uses all 3 instead. So going out here, negative, 45 might be much. Let's go negative 30 and then positive 30. And the rest of these hopefully should be fine, but we'll find out in a minute. So doing that, now we're going to want to go into our player, not over there, over here to our player shot script, which I already have open. Nice. So now we're going to want to set up this shot spawn. We're actually going to want to get, I'll make this public, and it's going to be transform array shots, or shot spawns, and it's going to have a reference to all three, with the first one being the single one, and then the second and third being the double ones. So now I'm also going to add a private bool for whether or not double shot is on. Actually, I guess it's triple shot at this point, but public bool of triple shot equals, it starts off equaling false, and then changing all these to shot spawns. And actually, I don't need to set that in the start function since I'm going to be setting it to public anyway to be spawned or to be set up in the inspector. Now here, shot spawns 0 will be the normal situation. So now if we hit space and can shoot, then we're gonna want to test if triple shot is true, then we're gonna do stuff, and then otherwise then we'll do the normal stuff. And I guess actually in both scenarios we're gonna want to spawn we're gonna want to call the wait to shoot function anyway, so we'll just have that be outside the if else statements. So now I'm going to copy this instantiate function, put it here, and paste it 3 times, and then change these to 1, or that to 1, that to 2, this to 1, and that to 2. Perfect. Now that should be it for that. Putting that down there. Yes. All right. So now, waiting a sec here, and also just to be cleanly with my naming. Doesn't want me to restructure it. Okay, actually, I'll go to here, hit apply, open the prefab, move that down, and then also change this to triple shot spawn because we're setting it to 3. Triple shot spawn. Triple shot spawn. Nice. So now we have that, and now we're going to want to actually set up our shot spawn. So I'm going to lock this, select all 3 of these, and just drag and drop. Boom. And now we have our single shot one first, and then our 2 triple shot spawns as we want. So nice. Now we're going to want to make the actual pickup as we did with the shield, and then set all that up. So for the shield, we just kind of had a mini shield thing floating around. This time I'm going to make a little thing using the player shot, and that's massive. Okay. Did I really lower it that much when we're in this prefab? So I want to check this out for a second. Yeah, these were, 0.25, 0.3, 0.25. Yeah, okay, fair enough. All right, I guess that's what we're doing. So I'm going to take this just to make it the same size as the player shot was before. 0.5, 0.3, 0.25. I guess that's what we're going with. Actually, I'll make all these 0.25. All right, so we have that. And now I'm just going to go to a top-down view and go orthographic mode, and I'm going to turn this way. This is going to be just the fancy part of the model. So for having the same system as we had with the shield, where it's like there's 3 levels, this is going to be the lower level where it's just the lowest level where it's just the model. So I'm going to take this, duplicate it. This selected, so it's blue. Why is it not? Oh, wrong buttons. Yes. So taking that, setting this to 0, not 0, to 90, setting it to the middle there, and then duplicating it again. Actually, duplicating like this, just so it kind of looks like 3 shots coming out, I guess, as like a mini thing. And we'll shrink it down more, I guess. So then I'm also going to set this then to 130 or 120, I guess, and then duplicating it, and then setting all this to negative values, and this to negative. Cool. And then also on all 3 of them, I'm just going to zero out the y-axis part of it. All right, so now we have that. I'm just going to move this down to here, not as a child object of that. Lower that, set this back up to the top, I guess. And now we're going to make a new, actually easy way I think we can set this up. I just bring back in the shield pickup and then sort of modify this to be the gun pickup, then that should be easier to make sure they're both the same. So this, I think we're probably not going to rotate it. We might rotate it, or not. We're not going to apply the random rotator. We're going to probably normally rotate it on just one plane. Actually, we could see what it looks like with random rotator set to a small value. That might be what we do. So we have the shield pickup. I'm going to take these 3 shots and put them in there instead. Oh, it's not liking that. Okay, sorry. This, actually, I'm going to do the unpack prefab completely, so it's its own thing. And then putting those as a child object of these 2. Then we have the shield. We're going to want to make these the same. Actually, we don't really need to. And then this higher up part will have the rigid body part and the sphere collider and everything else. Now we're going to want to actually move these so it's actually matches properly. So I'm going to switch that to global and move those in. And then we're also going to want to, actually what I think I might do, actually I might make this a 4th level down. So player shot, or I guess we'll call it triple shot. Triple shot. Boom, and then put that there. Then this will be the equivalent of the shield, just so they all, if we rotate them, they all rotate together more or less. So then this child object, these, and then I can also now, I can give this, I'll give it a random rotator with a value of 50, and we'll just see what that looks like. Now I think that, yeah, it's also too big. We're gonna want to sort of shrink it down so it's the same size. So 0.6 all around seems to work, I guess. Maybe 0.65, 0.65, 0.65, 0.65. All right. So now we have that. Now I'm going to delete this shield, and then we have this collider, which I guess. Actually, I want it to sort of have the exact same collider size. That would be preferable, which means I'm going to then increase this size to sort of hopefully match. So let's go 0.8 all around and see what that looks like. That matches up. It goes slightly over the edge, but I think that's fine. Actually, 7.5 all around. Yes. Also, I don't think this should make a difference, but I'm just going to tag all these as oh, we're going to need to make a new tag, right? So let's do that. So we're going to go gun pickup, and then we're going to assign that to all 6 of those. Gun pickup. I guess the only one that you really need to apply it to is the one with the colliders, but oh well. So now I'm going to rename all of these to gun pickup there and gun pickup here. Gun pickup, alright, sphere collider, rigid body is the same, shot moves the same, so it moves at the same speed. You could, I guess, have like the triple shot move faster or something like that, but this should be fine. So now we have this, we'll make it its own prefab. Boom. Yeah, alright, so we got that in there now. So now we'll test spawning this in, and still don't know if I like that sizing. I might go... it's fine. It works. It's fine. So, gun pickup. Now I'm going to do... Now that we made it a prefab, I'm going to delete it. And now we're going to go into our enemy manager and then set up being able to sort of randomize whether the shield pickup is spawned or the gun pickup is spawned instead. So we're going to add a public game object gun pickup. Yeah, and then we will make it a 50-50, I guess. So then what we'll do is over where we actually instantiate the shield pickup, we'll then go, I guess we can go if, sort of have 50-50 chance if random dot range. Yeah, if random dot range from -1 to 1, and if I make them floats, then you'll be... Actually, if I... Okay. From 0... So a random dot range from 0 to 2, which will either generate either 0 or 1. There, that's a 50-50 chance. So random dot range between 0 and 1. If it equals 0, then we'll spawn the shield pickup, and then if it's 1, then we'll spawn the gun pickup. Else... And that should hopefully be the 50-50 randomness that we want. Again, you could also make it different if you want the you could use this between 0 and 2, and then if it's 0, spawn the gun pickup, and then if it's 1 or 2, spawn the shield. Then you could make it a 66% chance of the shield, and then 33% chance of the gun if you wanted to. But I'm just going to leave it a 50-50 for now. So now we're going to change this to the gun pickup. The rest of these should be the same. And yeah, that should be that. Cool. So now going back into Unity, I'm going to set these lower again, and we'll test this out. So to 1 and 2, and then gun pickup, dragging that reference in there. Right, another thing I haven't done yet. This is not temporary at all. This is permanent. Actually, no, we don't even have a system set up for actually spawning activating the shot. That's an issue. All right, so I guess what we can do is on this section of code, I'm actually gonna go and open up my player shot again, or my player health over here. Then down here where we did the stuff with spawning the shield pickup, I'm gonna have the same on trigger enter code. I'm gonna put it after all of this, except if the tag that we collide with is the gun pickup. And we'll do it in here since this is the player shoots script anyway. You could, I guess, make your a new script for dealing with all the pickup stuff. But with this, it's in these scripts that have all the variables that we'll be modifying anyways. So we'll just do it in here. So as well, it's technically possible you could get a triple shot at one point and then a shield at another, and then they have them both be active at the same time if you wanted that. Or you could have set up a system that only one can be active at a time, and then you could do stuff with that if you wanted to. But again, I'm not going to be doing that here. So triple shot, we'll set it to true. And then we'll have we'll have a set timer of how long the triple shot is active, which I guess will make that a public variable. So public float triple shot time. It'll have the same shot time as here. This will be like sort of how long it's active. I guess we'll make it active time. It's a really long name there, but again, it should be fine. Triple shot active time. So now, also putting the other curly bracket on there, we'll make another coroutine that sort of the wait to deactivate, and then it'll actually in here it'll set triple shot to true, wait the timer, and then set it to false, and then the shot timer is this, so I'll copy and paste that in there. Cool. So now, lastly, we're going to want to actually call the function. So start coroutine, wait to deactivate. Boom. So now, hopefully, that should then work. I'm hoping. Oh, and slight problems. Oh, missing another curly bracket. That's fine. Everything else looks good, hopefully, while this is loading in. Yes, so now let's hopefully see. Oh, now we're going to actually want to set the active time over here. We'll set it active for 5 seconds, just so it's on for a long time, just so we can test that it's actually working. So now we go in, we destroy this, we destroy this, we get a shield, we destroy this. Oh, wait, okay, well, we got that like we wanted to, except I missed it. Oh, and I don't think it got act. Oh, it did. It just didn't destroy it. Okay, so now we got triple shots. Does the 2 shots coming at the end, I'm just going to assume that they work. And then eventually gets deactivated and we go back to having 1. All right, so it worked. Now, it was a little quirky there. One thing, we didn't actually destroy the pickup once we actually collided with it, so we should do that. Other dot destroy destroy other dot game object. We want to do that as well, just because of the spawn values being so low. They're being spawned so frequently. Then that's a problem, but we're going to make it... it shouldn't be that much of a problem when we have the value set up super high. There. So we got our triple shot. Cool. So now you have 3 shots spawning temporarily. Everything seems to be dying from them, so... Cool, so now we're ultra powerful. Woo, that's cool. And then it gets deactivated there. Fun. Alright, so... I wonder if there's anything else that we can do. There's no like visual indicator on our player of when the triple shot is active other than shooting. There could be something we could do to the player's gun. Nah. We can worry about that when we get more to polishing and like adding explosions and stuff. We could maybe like tint the front a different color or something like that. Or we could make actually a brand new model, like change this instead of having just the inserts there. We could have like a thing poking out here and then have that go away and have 2 come out there to have that be more or actually we wouldn't need it to go away because we're having the triple shot, so just have 2 more spawn in there. But I think for now that's fine. Now one last thing I would like to do before I end off here, I'm going to set these back to 3 and 8. Actually, I'd just like to quickly go through it one time just sort of see with the proper values how it's looking. With the gun power up, I might actually want to set those even higher, because if you have the triple shot active, you're going to be destroying like, well, a lot of enemies. Oh, and I have a... Yep, sorry about that. Yeah, so with the triple shot active, you'll be destroying enemies a lot faster, so I might want to set that a lot higher, but actually I think this frequency it seems to be fine. Now, one thing I would like to address, I guess, is with something with what we'll be dealing with soon with ending the level. So we have a bit of a gameplay quirk problem with how our game is right now. So, depending on how we want to go about ending the level, if we wanted to just have, set a set number of enemies, and then when the player gets through them all and gets to the end, just surviving to the end, then they beat the level, we could do that. But then that would kind of make this score system useless, which would be fine. We could just drop the score system. However, then there leaves very little to no incentive to actually destroy enemies. You could just try to fly around them all, which is not what we want. We want to have it, the main thing of the game, be trying to destroy all the enemies. So, with the way the score system is now, that is what we are trying to achieve. However, with how the score system is now, with enemies like these that shoot on random timers, there is a little bit of a problem with like it being kind of difficult and randomized to sort of be able to destroy like all the enemies to get to the end. So, and alive, because you only have 1 hit point. So what I think I might do to fix that is sort of change these enemies so that they aren't as fast, and balance it out by, instead of having few enemies that move really fast as they go by, having a whole bunch of enemies that come in what feels like waves, and then they are really slow, and then they shoot in very long timers. So then it kind of then becomes like, sort of like Space Invaders, where you have a whole bunch of enemies, and there are only like a few that are firing at a time. That might work then better, just for what we're trying to achieve, I guess. And then if we again were to do something like that, then we'd want to set other things higher, like our shot variables here. So I'm going to, for now, quickly modify some of these values to be smaller. I'm not going to worry about it too much yet until we actually make... So right now we've mainly just been doing stuff in this template level. When we actually start making our first actual level with some actual planning of what enemies we want where and that sort of thing, then we'll fine-tune these values then. So for now, I'm just going to reduce all these. All of our enemies had a speed of like 40, I believe, so I'll set them all to 30 just to be a little bit smaller. Shot time, I'll make 4 with the variance of 1. And then the scores can be the same. I think that's fine. And then our enemy turn here, making this have a speed of 30. And then actually that should be the same because you don't do much else. And then the enemy turn and shoot being the same for both. So 30. And then, oh, yes. Actually, the turn speeds I think are fine being the same. Yeah, that should be fine. Then our shot time, I'm going to set to the same thing of being 4, but also make it, I guess, 0.5. So the slight difference, I guess. And then also the enemy score being much bigger. So now we have that. Oh, and then the hazards as well. They should then also be the same speed. Cool. Just because if everything was different speeds, they'd kind of all potentially bump into each other, which, yeah, is not what we want. So now we have that. Also the enemy shot, making that a lot slower, I think. I'm going to actually lower that all the way down to 10. Yeah. Yeah, so now let's go in and test all of these new values. These guys are going to come in a lot slower. Actually, just to fully test the extent I want to go with this, I'm going to make a lot more. It's going to duplicate these around a lot more, but still kind of have this sort of sectioned off feel of having like all of this type of enemy, then all of this type of enemy. This is probably not what we'll have in a final real game level, but just to sort of help with testing, just having one set of enemy, then the next type, then the next type, just to sort of test them on their own. Well, I guess also kind of having a bit of build up. So having, actually, yeah, a lot of enemies there. I could also make them a lot wider. We're able to just kind of hide on the edge of the screen if we want to, but again, we'll worry about that in an actual level when we get there. So now the shot and turn guys, having a lot more of them. Cool, and now I can make more of these guys. Just more cluttered around, just as we see fit. Just, yeah, seeing if this works or if more tweaking needs to be done. All right. We could also, another thing to deal with shooting, at this point as well, the way that our enemies are set up, we could just basically be holding down the shoot button for the entirety of this. We could also potentially make another type of enemy that's like a bomb that you don't want to shoot because it'll explode and could damage you or something like that. We can, again, worry about that later, but let's just see how this works now. So now we have more enemies, but they're moving a lot slower. Well, actually, if that is the case, I'm going to also want to go and set this thing to a lot higher. So I'm going to set that to a high of 15 and a low of 5. So now it's also very random, but not too random, I suppose. Boom, 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 there. Oh. All right. There's one, I see that there's one turn enemy that isn't really working properly. That's kind of fine. I think it's just not, the prefab is not set up properly on that one specifically. There's a case where we want to be careful setting like hazards beside enemies that turn because they'll go through them. But other than that, I think that this seems to be fine. So there, now we got one of these. And then we can get a shield as well. Oh, now we're back to 1. Cool. There, going through all these guys, and then all of these. Woo. Alright, so now things I think can be a lot more consistent with our score here. We won't make it required to defeat every enemy, just having a certain score that just from running through our own level a few times, we'll see kind of what our average is, round down a bit, and then we can set that as the base score for what you need. We could also set up like a star system where like if you get like a certain score, then you pass the level, but if you get a certain score, then you get like 2 stars, then a certain score and you get 3 stars, that sort of thing. Just more options to play around with. But, and actually before I forget, I'm just going to do the minor fixing here. So these enemies that turn, we don't want hazards right beside them. So we're going to want to just sort of move them out of the way. Yeah, just like that. Something just to, yeah, sort of keep in mind there. Boom, boom. I can move this down. Yes. All right, so I think that is good. Also, there's the one enemy over here that I think it's that one that's sort of not in line with the rest. That's fine. Now that's fixed. All right, so we got all of that done. So we've made a gun power up. We could potentially make more, but I think this is fine for now. I'm also just going to set this up a little bit just so it's a little more consistent. I'll go 10 to 15. Yeah, that should be fine, I guess. again, different levels could have these set to different numbers. That, yeah, should be fine. Anywho, so that'll do it for this episode. In the next episode, I think one thing I want to try is potentially having what I'm going to call different level modes. So for now, the entirety of what our game is right now involves just moving up with enemies coming at you down. I want to experiment with sort of having times where the camera might turn, so then you could be this way. Oh, it's weird. This is like, yeah, this way, fighting enemies coming that way, and then you could be moving down and moving that way. And experiment with doing that. I think we'll make it so that you're still moving in the same direction, but we'll just turn the camera, and then we could maybe also turn the background, so it kind of looks like the player is turning, and then more enemies coming, and all that sort of stuff. But we'll deal with that then. We'll also have to deal with moving the boundaries around, and also the controls, so that it's still W being up, S being down, A being left, D being right. But yeah, we'll deal with that next episode. Post episode, Brandon here, cutting in. I experimented more with adjusting these values, and by making things kind of slower, I think this works better for what we were trying to do with the whole score system. I also made the turn enemies move left and right a little less, so that the turn and shoot enemies move left and right a lot more, just so that they're even more menacing, I guess. And then just experimented with different values for like the shot speeds and shot times and all of that. And I think this works nicely. There can still be more tweaking to be done, but I think that this works. All right. There was also I should mention there was another problem with the turn enemies. They were kind of not set up properly because I put on the turn scripts, but then didn't apply them to the prefab. So I had to do that and then fiddle around with correcting things. But yeah, other than that, this all seems to be working properly. So, take it away, past me again. Alright, so, yeah, as I said many times, that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a good day!